Okay, we are in Eyn Yaakov. Please subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up, and also hit notifications so that way you know every time there's a new class. Here we are in Eyn Yaakov Shabbos, the Gemara Shabbos 56a1, and now we're looking at David. Did David sin or did David not sin? In the sin of, Rashi will explain, Bathsheba. Okay, did he commit adultery or not? So Amar Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rav Yonatan, Kol so Rav Shmuel, the son of Nachmani, son of the name of Rav Yonatan, Kol HaOmer David Chata, Eno Elatoa. Again, we're going through this concept again. Whoever said that David sinned is simply mistaken. And again, if you look at, like I said, Rashi says it's referring to when David cohabited with Bathsheba, and people think that was before she received divorce, and that is, so the article says it is a mistake to think that David committed adultery with her, for by the time he had relations with her, she had already received her divorce, as the Gemara will explain below. Shneimar, as it says, "Vayhi David l'chol devarav maskil v'Hashem imo." For it is stated that David was successful in all his ways, and Hashem was with him. And it says in number 11, this verse describes the situation that existed long before the incident of Bathsheba. If so, why does the Gemara cite it as proof that David never sinned with her? So the Rif to the Eyn Yaakov explains that the word maskil also means cogitate. And so the verse teaches that David always kept the divine presence in mind when planning his deeds, and hence it was impossible for him to commit so grave a sin as adultery. The Anaf Yosef there offers a different explanation. The Gemara in Sanhedrin teaches that the phrase Hashem was with him means that David was such a great Torah scholar that the halacha follows his ruling. Now the Gemara in Sota states that when one reaches this level of scholarship, he is saved from all. No sin will come about through him. That is why our Gemara infers that David certainly could not have committed adultery. Okay, so it's Efshar. Now is it possible that David sinned and the divine presence was with him? Chas v'shalom, certainly not. So if that's the case, how do I understand the verse when Natan the prophet rebukes David and he says, "Why have you despised the word of Hashem to do that which is evil in my eyes?" That's what he says. So the Gemara's answer is Shabikesh la'asot v'lo asa, that he wanted to do it, but he did not do it. Okay, but so as a result, it's considered again when you are at that level of righteousness, then just thinking it is as if you did it. So you're going to get punished for your thoughts, even though you didn't go through with your thoughts. Again, you have to be in a very high level for that.
The everyday person
thinks.
Thoughts will pass in and out.
Right. You think about it. You should. By the way, even for an everyday person, we shouldn't think about these things because it's going against the number 10, Lo Tachmod, on the board behind me. The Big Ten. It says Lo Tachmod. You shouldn't covet. You shouldn't want those things. So it starts. By the way, all sin starts the same way.
Sure.
I want it. That's number one. I covet that. So now I'm going to figure out how to get it. See, there's two ways. I always love the rich man, poor man for this. If you watch videos on, especially Robert Kiyosaki, I think that's his name. Rich Dad, Poor Dad guy. So I'm pretty sure it's Kiyosaki. And, but his point is, the difference between a rich man and a poor man is the rich person, when it comes to wanting something, so the poor person says, I can't afford it. And the rich person says, how can I afford it? Okay? So what you're looking at is that verse, Lo Tachmod. Do not covet. I covet that particular thing. Now, the religious person will say, I can't have that. I can't do it. I want it, but I can't do it. I want my ham sandwich, ham and cheese. I want my pizza, but I can't do it because Hashem said no. The Rasha, the wicked person will say, I want it. How do I do it? How do I do it legally?
Does discipline overcome temptation? even though you can't have it, what's the point of still wanting?
Say it again.
The ham sandwich bit.
Yeah.
You know you can't have it, so get used to it and move on. You know.
Right. So that's again. That would be you said nicely. Temptation versus what? Discipline. Discipline wins, and that's the point. So and why am I disciplined? Because I have a discipline. I have God. God's given me a Torah. So therefore, even though I've transgressed already one commandment, I stop there. Because I say, Hashem said no. That's it. It's done. If I don't have that discipline, and I want it, again, I'm not saying that all rich people, I can hear somebody say, all rich people are wicked. I can hear that coming out now. I'm not saying the attitude of the rich, it would also be the attitude of the rush in that situation, of the wicked person, where it says, I want it, now I just have to figure out how I'm going to get it. That's all.
Even though you know it's not right.
Even though I know I can't do it. So he would find some sort of leniency in the law, try to figure something out. He would, all the machinations of Jewish law would suddenly become very important to him, and he would suddenly figure out how he could do what he should not be doing legally. Okay? That's what he would convince himself of.
Leaving no trace behind. And leaving no
I understand I heard the words, I don't understand the words.
Columbo.
Oh, okay.
And leaving no trace behind, no clue behind.
Okay. And
how to do it and how to get away with it.
Right. So that's what you're seeing here with that concept of Shabikesh Lasot. He wanted to do it, Velo Asa, but he didn't do it. That is the righteous person. I want something, but I'm told I can't. God told me I can't do it. I can't do it. But still in all, for a person at his level, he shouldn't have even wanted it. He should be able to control that desire from the very beginning. That's the point. We are not held to such a standard. We see it, okay, we want it. We should work at that, by the way. I'm not saying we shouldn't. We should certainly work to get to that level that I don't even desire that which you own. If I don't have it, it's meant that I shouldn't have it, so why should I bother?
That's another, you've said, I know, often before, like you see a guy who's got a great big house, an expensive car, you say, what a beautiful thing, it's nice, feel good for him.
Correct.
And then you should let it go, that's it.
Correct.
Yeah.
You should say it's great for him, whatever he got, whatever he has, God gave it to him. Baruch Hashem, I have what I have. He has what he has, and you'll have a happy life. The minute I look at somebody what you have, and I say, "Wow, why can't I have that?" Yeah. Now I've gone on the road of a miserable life, because that's it. You have a beautiful wife, and Reuven has a beautiful wife, and Shimon doesn't. Shimon's wife is 5 pounds overweight. Why can't she look like Reuven's wife? You've just entered the world of sadness for the rest of your life. You're in depression because you want what somebody else has, and it's not even worthwhile. Okay, he has $1 million. You don't have $1 million. I want that $1 million, but you don't realize this. With that $1 million, he has 1 million problems. Okay, and everybody's knocking on his door. So, and with your $20,000, nobody's really knocking on your door. Okay, great. You're left alone. You can.
They knock on your door. Here's your 18. Thank you.
18. You're lucky if you get 18 for 20,000. But I know it depends on. It's so interesting how people will react to the different things. It all comes from here, though. Again, Shabikesh Lasot. I want to do something. Well, what do I do with that? Do I give in to my desires or not? So even if I don't give in to my desires, like they want to argue that David didn't, still at his level, he shouldn't have done it. So by the way, at my level, I shouldn't desire a ham and cheese sandwich, right? I should be way past that. It shouldn't be that I get stuck at, I want that ham and cheese sandwich. I should be able to walk by it and say, no, thank you.
No, I don't know if I disagree or... When we talk about levels, that admits that there is a double standard and there really shouldn't be. You either are something or you aren't something.
No.
It's not a question of degrees.
It means that I've matured. I'm not a child anymore. I realize there are things I can have, and there are things that I cannot have.
It means also that you're admitting responsibility for your own actions.
Correct.
And your
So
own
that's the
thoughts
maturity.
And your own thoughts.
That's the maturity. That's not a double standard. That's the maturity. The more sensitive I become, the more I grow, the more mature I become in all my actions. So the higher I'm held to a standard. And if you have younger siblings, older siblings, you can see that the oldest sibling of the family is most harshly punished versus the youngest. Okay, because the oldest you're expecting a lot from the oldest. The youngest not so much. Until the younger finally grows up, and then and every child, every person, the more they're there, the more we expect from them because they've been there longer. So if you've been there longer, now you know the ropes. You can't claim I didn't know. I mean, it bothers me. I'll give you an example. In the bathroom, we have a plunger. We're all men in this building for the most part. And once in a while, what they do is when they plug the toilet, they close the lid. Instead of taking the plunger that's right next to them, plunging it out, and then leave it for the next guy. Instead of leaving it for the next guy. What happens, I open the thing, and here I see, I had to see this.
Does this happen mostly on Sabbath when people would consider plunging a toilet to be work?
If they do, they should check out with me, and I'll tell them it's not work. Okay, it's not work.
Post it in there.
You mess. By the way, I think it could be kids who are ashamed of what they did or whatever. But the point is that they leave it for next. Like I said, they close the cover. That's interesting. And then when you see it and you're looking, you say, really?
Thou shalt not consider plunging the toilet as work.
Right. But that's the point. But people do that, or again during the week they see the lights on. They'll leave the lights on. Why? Turn them off. You were the first one in. You're the last one. You're the last one in there. So turn it off. That's why we're all LED today. There's no warming up, cooling down, wasting electricity. Up, down, up, down. That's it. It's like the old incandescent. You don't leave it going. I don't care if it's only 1 cent. Save my money, right? But nobody cares about that. And you would assume. And so when do they suddenly care? When they pay the bills. When they see the bill, they say, "Whoa, this costs that much." Suddenly they care. They have to pay for gas. Suddenly they care. They have to pay for car repair. Suddenly they care. Okay, well that's maturity. Now when somebody is borrowing my car, which very rarely will happen because I don't like them to borrow my car, but let's say somebody did, if they give me an empty tank, I'm looking at them and saying, "What you brought up in a barn? You don't pay back. I gave you a full tank, and you don't even give me a full tank back."
Levels, I was considering levels of adult rather than levels of maturity. All adults.
Right.
I mean, you know who you are.
Right.
And what's expected of you.
Right. But again, so that's my point. It's maturity. It's not how old I am. It's all maturity. That's why when a person comes into an Orthodox surrounding doesn't know what Orthodox rules are, you have more compassion on them and you're willing to deal with them much more than somebody who knows the rules. If somebody knows the rules and they just want to blatantly break it, I have no patience for that. None. I don't care what you call themselves. They can say they're not Orthodox. I don't care. You walked into my playground, and my playground you play by my rules. If you don't know my rules, that's one thing. But when you know them and you flaunt them, that's not nice. That's disrespectful. And for that, I'm going to hold you responsible. That's maturity. That's what I'm saying. That's the levels we're dealing with. Okay. So I'm a Rav.
This expression you had, the perfect one, temptation versus discipline. Both of those are Latin words. They're real interesting because tempto temptare means just to try something. That you have this attitude, well, I won't know unless I try it.
Right.
And discipline means learning. A learner is a disciple. And so the learning would be the Torah. That's how you reach these higher levels, is through learning.
Okay, good.
All the answers are there.
Right.
It's the guidebook.
So I'm a Rav. Rav said, Rabbi da'ati mi David, ma'hafech v'daret v'shchuti David. So Rabbi, who said what we said above, who was descended from David, he's direct descendant actually from David, sought to expound the verse in defense of David as follows. Madur bazita et tevar Hashem l'asod hara. After the prophet reproached David with, why have you despised the word of Hashem to do that which is evil? Rabbi Omer Meshuna Ra'azu Kol Ra'ot Torah. Rabbi says this evil, this word to evil, is different from all the evils in the Torah. Shekol Ra'ot Torah Ketibahu Vayas. That with all the other evils in the Torah is written, and he did, or he that which he did, which is evil. Kan Ketiv La'asod. Here it's written to do that which is evil. In other words, he's looking, instead of Vayas past tense, or Vav conversive, Vayas would be past tense, because Ya'as is future, so Vav is a Vav conversive, turns it, so instead of the word Vayas, he says La'aso, which is the infinitive, to do. And that's why he learned Shabikish La'aso v'lo asa. He wanted to do it, but he didn't do it. Okay, and then we continue. 8 Oria Hikiti Becherev. Now the prophet particularizes the evil that David did. You struck Uri the Hittite with the sword. So what happened there was, again, he sent him into the front lines. So Uriah, he says in 18, Uriah Bathsheba's husband was called the Hittite because he was a Hittite convert, or that's number one, or according to the Radak, he lived in the land of the Hittites. Either way, the question is, what was he? Was he a Hittite who converted? Was he just living in the Hittite land, like we're living in Indiana? So we're called the Indians, I guess. Well, Hoosiers. We call it Hoosiers.
Indianans. Yeah.
I don't know. I know we call it Hoosiers. That's what I know. Who's the ear? That's what I heard.
Yeah, it's French.
No, Hoosiers is for who's the ear. Okay. That's what they learned in school.
I don't know what it means.
I'm telling you, somebody cut the ear off, so it says whose the ear is this? Hoosiers. Hoosiers, yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah. That's one of the legends of the word Hoosiers. Okay, anyway, so Nathan here seems to charge David with murder, but he actually means to say that you should have judged Uriah in the Sanhedrin for his act of rebellion against you, but you did not do so. So what's going on there? 20. The Tosfot cite the Gemara in Megillah, which seems to indicate that the king may summarily execute one who rebels against him, and no trial is necessary. If so, why does our Gemara that this Uriah should have been tried by the Sanhedrin? So Tosfot answers that Sanhedrin is certainly required to hear witnesses and determine whether the accused actually rebelled. The Gemara in Megillah means only that the court need not make a special effort to find exonerating evidence for him or redeliberate a guilty verdict overnight, which is required in all other capital cases. The Rambam apparently rules, however, that a Jewish king has a unilateral right to execute anyone who rebels against him. If so, why did Nassim remonstrate that Uriah should have been judged in the Sanhedrin? Eyn Yaakov, to the Eyn Yaakov explains that in this particular case, David should have certainly have had the Sanhedrin determine Uriah's guilt, so that no one would unjustly suspect David of having Uriah killed in order to marry his wife. Okay. So the Ed Ishtal Akachta Lechal Yisha, nothing further stakes, you took his wife to yourself for a wife. This means this seems to charge David with adultery, but not on, actually meant likuchen yesh lecha ba. You may legally take her in marriage. Literally, taking in marriage, you have in her. The phrase, you took her for a wife, implies that David's marriage to Bathsheba was legal from the beginning, even before Uriah died. This can only be true if Bathsheba was already divorced from Uriah at the time, as the Gemara states below. Tosfot apparently translates lekuchen yesh lecha ba as you have the right to marry her. Tosfot notes further that although in this instance Bathsheba would have been permitted to David even if he had committed adultery, for the prohibition against marriage to an adulterer applies only when the woman consented to the relations, which was not the case with Bathsheba. The verse nevertheless implies that David did not sin did not sin. For the prophet meant to tell David, you have done no sin with this woman, which is why you can marry her. Okay, fine. So the Gemara now explains why David's relationship with Bathsheba was not adulterous. Okay, so really we're dealing with verses here. Again, according to the simple verse, let's be quite honest. Okay, simple pshat. The simple understanding is David took Bathsheba, saw her taking a bath or whatever she was doing, and said, "I want her." Checked it out, and then he has relations with her, gets her pregnant. She comes back and says, "I'm pregnant." He then calls for Uriah and says, "Go to your wife. Go to your wife," because he didn't want the baby to be known as David's baby. Go with your wife. It'll be. The assumption they would have relations, and what happened is now she's pregnant and you have a baby, and it could be a 7th-month baby, whatever it's going to be. Big deal. The point is that it's your baby. Okay. Then he doesn't want to go back to his wife. He says, "How can I go to my wife when my general is in the field fighting? I can't go." Okay, fine. So that's when David sends a message to his general. Put him into the front lines and make sure he dies. That's the orders. Okay, so that is a simple storyline. Now, to argue that David, first of all, did not commit adultery, would have to necessitate that whenever you go to war, that you gave a divorce to your wife.
That's my point.
Okay, wait.
When did that happen?
So we're about to hit this. We're about to hit that. So what would happen is, before they would go into war, in other words, once they would leave their...
Into the service or into an actual battle?
Battle. Before they were going to battle,
So that when he was tempted by her...
No. So the minute they would go, they were already in battle. They were already already in war.
So he had already submitted this...
Right, he already gave her a divorce. So she was already divorced. Now, again, this will have to be proven, but that has to be what's going on. She was already divorced. So now when David sees her, and he desires her, and he finds out she went to the mikvah, and so on and so forth, so she's not even a nida, nothing's wrong, then he takes her, and he will have relations with her. He's not raping her, but you're the king. So that's why the Gemara wants to say that it wasn't even a consensual situation. She's a king. Okay, fine. So what happens is she would have relations with him. Again, she would then send a message saying, "I'm pregnant." Well, it doesn't look good.
All right, so the husband is still alive, but he had already submitted his
She's already divorced. She's divorced. And so now, but the understanding is, if you come back, I want to remarry you. It's only that you were saving me from being a chained wife. In other words, if I didn't know you were dead, so then I can't remarry anybody.
This divorce is nothing at all like selling your chametz before Passover, where it's a timed thing, and then once this divorce is granted, this pre-service, that is it. They have to remarry in order to...
Yes, they would have to remarry in order to reconsummate.
It's not conditional. There are
there's no condition.
Unconditional divorce.
Just like, by the way, it's just like your chametz. When I sell my chametz, it is an unconditional sale.
To last for a certain length of time.
No, it lasts forever if I don't buy it back.
All right.
So what happens is, with chametz, when I sell it, 10 o'clock on this year is going to be Friday morning. Mm-hmm. So I sell it at 10 o'clock Friday morning, okay? And that's when I can get rid of it. I tell the non-Jew, you owe me, it's yours unconditionally. Now what happens is you owe me money at the end of 8 days. At the end of 8 days you owe me money. That's when I want to come and you'll owe me. Your choice will be to pay me up or to sell it back to me. That's your choice. But you own it all the way through.
Amount, less or more than it was.
Yes. You can make the same amount. You can make the less amount. Whatever you want to. Whatever the price is. You're negotiating the price. Normally you give the same price for a little more because why? Well,
They did you a favor.
You're not doing it because you did a favor. It's not. It shouldn't be seen that way. But yeah. And the bottom line, you're doing the guy a favor by getting him out of that. So the non-Jew, at the end of 8 days, you call them and say, "Okay, would you like to buy it?" If the non-Jew says yes, pay up, and pick up your chametz. It's no longer mine. I can't touch it. If he says I want to buy it, I want to sell it, I don't want it. Okay, I agree on a price. Great, we agreed on the price. Now I give you money back, and we're all set. Okay. If neither one of those two things happens, by the way, let's say I can't find the non-Jew. Okay, non-Jew went to the movies. Okay, it happened. Non-Jew went to the movies. So now what happens is time is up, and he didn't tell me what he wants, so I cannot touch that chametz. The chametz is not mine. If that chametz burned, if something happened to that chametz, the non-Jew is responsible to pay me for whatever it is. Okay, because it's his. It's his until I buy it back. So the same thing with this. This is not a conditional divorce. So that's really the same. They're not a conditional divorce. People make the mistake about chametz. They think, it's a wink thing. No, it's a legal binding sale that the non-Jew owns until the non-Jew sells it back.
And you're saying what, either good till canceled or good something. It's just standing until
it's his.
Yeah.
It's his until I buy it back. It's his, so I can't eat it.
This book is figuring something different because this says it's conditional. So
it's not conditional.
Know where they're getting this from.
What's the condition it identifies?
This one says the implication you had a full right to marry this woman because she had already received a valid get. It says for Rab Shmuel Bar Nachmani said in Rab Yonazan's name, whoever went to war in David's army would send and then it says in brackets, conditional get.
A conditional to get would be no good. But okay, so I'm not sure. We'll have to get to that.
Brackets again, which would take effect retroactively if the husband died in
Oh, you want to say that? Okay, so I don't know. We'll have to see it. I don't get there yet.
He does have a note here.
Okay, we didn't get there yet. So when we get there, but I'm just saying, the point is that the get is a get, and if it's conditional or not conditional, the point is it's already there. So it wouldn't make sense to say conditional, by the way, in this situation, because then she would be married. They want to make it that she's not. A conditional thing wouldn't make sense here. The understanding was if you would, when you come back, we'll get remarried. That's the understanding.
But that's not a guarantee.
That's not a conditional. Correct. That's what I'm saying. Conditional is wrong. It has to be the wrong word. It doesn't make sense. That's why they put in brackets, by the way, because he's not saying it. So, but again, that's what's going on. They all have to be strong sales. So that's why if a person, when they sell the chametz with the rabbi, that's normally how they do it, right? They normally don't go to them individually. So they normally give the rabbi the authority to sell the chametz. The rabbi will give you a time frame as after Yom Tov, like 3 hours, usually 3 hours. How long does it take to get the guy back and to buy it? It's a quick 1, 2, 3 when it's done. The answer is you have to find the non-Jew. You have to give time for that. I ran into that problem where the non-Jew literally went to the movies.
What was your time frame? How long had you given to find them?
So no, I normally would say to people, you have 2 hours, give me 2 hours after the Yom Tov. But, because I never thought about that. But here, I nearly had to start.
That's after sunset. That's evening.
Yeah. So she went to the movies.
What time of year was that? What time is
it doesn't matter. She went to the movies.
Whatever day it was.
Whatever day it was, she went to the movies. And she went to a late movie, 9 o'clock movie, whatever it was. How do I know? And so we had to call her to get her out of the movie.
Oh.
Let's go.
You have to go back. She's have to stay around and watch the beginning again.
That's terrible.
Here's a note he gives here. I found. It says if the husband is missing in action, the retroactive get would save the wife from becoming a good.
All right, no, I understand that, but what I'm saying is that wouldn't help this case.
Yeah.
That wouldn't help this case. Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just get to. Okay, actually, we'll have to stop here. We'll have to stop at the adultery part.
Missing in action is sort of a condition in itself. How do you know when how much time do you give for that?
What's the halakhic answer to that? If somebody's
if a person
after 20 years.
Right. So once a person, if they don't come back by a specific time, they would say, if I don't come back by January 1st,
even if just missing in action.
Even if I just missed the boat, that happens too.
Yeah.
And then the divorce goes into place. But again, I can't. I'd be hard pressed.
Let's say in the days before